Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Reiner Blickle, and we'll be discussing the growth of SEW-EURODRIVE and the community outreach. Hey, Reiner, thanks for joining us today. We had you on the first podcast episode, so this is our 100th. We'd like to have you back. So how you been doing?
Pretty good.
So we're going
to hold on.
Yep.
Let's
hold on.
Let's address the elephant in the room. First podcast, you said we're not filming.
I don't know if I said that.
You did, and then so I'm sure I look like an idiot in a lot of that. So we know it's filmed now. So I'm in professional mode.
Professional mode.
I think I had a hat on that time. Yeah. But anyway, we're here.
Elephant
doing great.
in the room.
We're doing great.
We're doing great.
We're doing great.
We've grown.
We have grown.
We've learned.
We have.
Well, we're very happy you came back, whether or not I said we were on video, you know.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So the first episode, we talked a little bit about SEW's history. We talked a little bit about where we came from, how we got to where we are.
Yep.
So this time, let's talk about a little bit about our recent growth, kind of how we're expanding, continuing to improve, because we discussed how that got us to where we are now. So we don't want to feel like we've kind of stopped that. So what's going on maybe globally, and then maybe in the United States of how SEW-EURODRIVE continuing to grow.
Yeah. So globally, I was just informed last week that we now have 100 EuroDrives around the world.
100 EuroDrive.
So that means they can be, a small assembly center with some service, or maybe just a complete service center. It just depends. As I've seen a lot of EuroDrives around the world, it just depends what the local market is in need of. So it may be, hey, this region, I was just in Brazil for the first time, so I'll stick with that as a recent example. Brazil has a bunch of, I believe 10, just service centers where they'll take in used equipment, fix it, send it back out. It can be our equipment, competitors' equipment, whatever, but they'll just do the work and get it back to the customer. And that works in their market. They reuse more than they buy new, from what I could see and what I learned. And that can be different around the world. So we're very adaptive to what a customer or region is actually in need of. And we don't just do stuff to do it. They're very strategic locally.
Yeah, it sounds like one of the slogans I've heard floating around. I think it's think globally, act locally. So that's something that I'm glad to hear is happening, not just in the United States, but at all 100 EuroDrives we now have in the world. So Brazil's killing it, doing great things.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we've done in the somewhat recent past or in the somewhat recent future, what's coming up in the United States that's promoting growth and making sure we can still support our customer base here and our local needs?
We can go back 10 years or so with a new plant in Dallas, which is up and running, which doubled the size of the old one. That's been years in up and running. Our investment with our IG facility, that was 7-8 years ago now. Time goes. That was a huge deal to assemble locally in the U.S. The larger gearboxes. The new Lyman facility, which is 3 years now, Lyman assembly in the running. So yeah, I mean we don't stop. So whenever there's a need, we just invest in it. That also goes on the manufacturing side. As we built the new Lyman assembly, we then opened up the rest of where old Lyman assembly was to a new footprint for manufacturing to expand, where we manufacture the K series or some of those products in there. So yeah, we just don't stop. Keep going.
I mean, it sounds like it 10 years ago, new plant in Texas, 7-8 years ago, brand new industrial gearing facility here in South Carolina. 3 years ago, new assembly plant, which means we can increase our manufacturing footprint. I mean, that's a lot in the past 10 years, and it doesn't feel like we're stopping. So
yeah, and I think what I'd like people to know, and if they don't know, if they're new to the company, is we're private, so all this money that would go back to the market, shareholders, all that stuff, we reinvest in ourselves. And that's a big part of the magic of why we're at where we're at.
Wonderful. So we've covered globally 100 Euro drives. We're thinking globally, acting locally. We're still growing and improving here in the United States, but that's all gear motors, drives, controls, automation, the product and services that SEW-EURODRIVE offers its customers. But is SEW-EURODRIVE investing in its local communities or any community outreach programs, to support
Yep.
that way?
So I'm glad you asked, Cully. So we've in some way or another been involved in our communities, and the best way I can say is in an unstructured way where we would donate to things that we thought were important to the community. And just kind of, I've said this all the time, said it a million times now. It's kind of like this shotgun approach to giving, where we sprinkle a large amount over in smaller amounts. If that makes sense. So just a bunch of different organizations got a little chunk of what we were giving. So we've redirected that a bit. We still do some of that, but we went all in Lyman first. Well, it is our biggest project. With a early education center, and what we found is it's just really an expansion of what's already working, and it's already existed for 20 years or so with the Middle Tiger Community Center. And one of the programs they do is they serve roughly 60 kids now, 0 to 4 years old, and an affordable child care system they've created, and it's sustainable. So it's a mixed model system, but it's really designed to get working people working and not having to choose between working and staying at home and raising their kids. So for the ones that do want to work, it is an amazing program, and it gets their kids an amazing childcare for 7-8 hours a day. So we sat down with the director of that Middle Tiger Community Center, and we're like, hey, what's the biggest need in the community? And she immediately said affordable childcare. So my brother looked at her and said, hey, let's build a building. And I was like, okay, cool, let's build a building.
Let's build a building.
And in the private sector, you can have an idea, make a decision, and you can build a building within a year as long as you stay on yourself and on the builders. We went a different route with this. We tried to make this a model for not just this community, but other communities to run with. So it took 3 years to break ground, but we got all the parties we wanted involved. So the school district, who's been great and always helpful with Middle Tiger, but they had a piece of land across from the local high school, Burns High School. I think the total was 13 or 14 acres, which once we told them what we'd like to do, build this school for the community, they got on board and donated that to our nonprofit, which is called Greater Than Us. You'll be hearing more about that as we get this thing going. But so we got the school district on board to support it, and then we got some state funding from South Carolina has I forget the name of it, but they got a bucket of money for workforce development, and we got a little bit of that to help with the building. So we've got private, we've got the government, and we've got a school district involved, and to make it work in other areas, I think that's the perfect combination of parties and stakeholders involved in something like this. But to sum it up, we are going from supporting 60 kids to this new building will support 285, 0 to 4. And
wow,
that will be filled from day one with the amount of need that we have. And hopefully it's open in the fall next year. Everything's on schedule so far, but it's not open until it's open. Anything can happen.
Yep. I mean, that's amazing. I think working with Middle Tiger, figuring out what they needed would be a great approach. And I love the fact that we're trying to make it a model that other people can follow, or other communities might be able to follow. And 3 times the support, I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we're excited. It's it's not for SEW. We're not reserving any spots. So I always want that clear. It's not we're not doing this for us. It really is for the community. And these kids will feed right into the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. It's all literally on the same block, if you will.
I'm about to say, they're on the four corners that you're talking about.
Yeah,
So,
it's really cool, and I'm super proud that we're involved in it.
well, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, we've talked about global, we talked about the United States, we talked about community outreach. Is there anything else you want to add, or does that about wrap it up?
I think that's about wraps it up on this one.
Well, you know,
Thanks for having me.
this was our 100th. So
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here.
That's crazy. It's been that many.
Yep.
That's
Well,
awesome.
we'll get you back on at 200. How about that?
Perfect. I'll be around.